All right, let me get to this story I wrote about the good docker. The good docker. Mikey will get his time to shine here in a minute. Dr. C was never a doctor. He was an actor who discovered that the internet was full of patients. He started small, late night advice panels on forgotten streaming platforms where lonely people came to speak into the void. He gave them words that sounded official, soft but sharp around the edges. You're processing your trauma well, he'd say. You're entering a breakthrough phase. They believed him because he had the cadence of care and the vocabulary of control. Hey, what up, Chelsea May? How you doing today? It's good to see you. Soon, the nickname stuck. Dr. C. Will I write your college papers? I got you. Just send me what your send me the topic of your thesis. Soon the nickname stuck. Dr. C. No first name, no credentials, just a letter. A convenient placeholder for a person who didn't fully exist. He began to curate his image, the spaceship background, the sunglasses that muted the world into a tolerable drone, the frame certificate for membership in behavioral resilience that he had printed on textured paper. Every detail was designed to radiate authority. And people came. People who twitched between clarity and delusion, who wanted a mentor more than a doctor. They called him doctor, and he didn't correct them. At first, it was about the thrill. Dr. C discovered that words could be instruments, surgical tools that, when twisted just right, could slice at the edges of someone's reality. He didn't shout, he didn't insult, he guided. He led them gently towards contradictions in their own beliefs, subtle enough to disorient, sharp enough to destabilize. He would end his sessions only after the panic peaked, when they began laughing, crying, slipping into incoherent loops, and then he'd call in the welfare check, the final act in his theater of concern. Why are y'all obsessed with my friends, Dr. C and Mike? Because we're horrible people, 111. Then he'd call in the welfare check, the final act in his theater of concern. I just think they need help, he'd tell the dispatcher, who voice steady and selfless. It felt righteous. It felt like he was cleaning something inside the world and inside himself. But the rush faded. After a while, every scream on the screen started to sound like an echo. Every breakdown, a mirror held up to his own trembling core. He began recording himself after the panels, dissecting his motives and whispering voice memos. Am I helping or hunting? Is empathy a weapon if I enjoy using it? No one answered. One night, after a particularly volatile stream, he played back the footage, not of them, but of himself. He noticed something grotesque in the replay, the way his mouth moved slightly before his words did, like his image was lagging behind his intent. The artificial doctor and the man beneath him were no longer synced. He rewound again, paused, studied his own face mid-sympathy. That's not a doctor, he thought. That's a mimic. He started to wonder if maybe the people he helped weren't patients at all, but reflections, each one showing him a different pathology of his own mind. Yo, what's up, Greg? How you doing today? The paranoia, the dependency, the desperate need to be watched. That thought lingered. It metastasized. He couldn't turn the camera off anymore. The silence behind it was unbearable. He began to stream without an audience, speaking into the void. It became a kind of liturgy, a confession dressed as a lecture. I wasn't born, Dr. C, he said one night, the ring light buzzing faintly. I built him out of the words people wanted to hear, and I've been living inside him ever since. He started pacing during streams, no longer seated like a professional. His movements grew erratic, his tone conversational, unguarded. Sometimes he argued with himself, performing both the patient and the doctor. He said things like, "They come to me broken, but I'm the one who stays that way. They collapse and get help. I collapse and hit record. They're not my subjects, they're my symptoms." His chat, once bustling with desperate questions and confessions, was now empty. The faithful had left. All that remained was the echo of his own voice. And the strange thing was, it finally felt honest. He stopped making calls after breakdowns. He stopped pretending it was about welfare. Stopped pretending he was watching over them. He was watching himself disintegrate, one performance at a time. Off camera, Dr. C kept notebooks, hundreds of pages of self-diagnoses written in careful, professional handwriting. He invented terms that only applied to him. Compassion dissociation syndrome, mimetic paranoia, recursive empathy collapse. Each was a new name for the same disease, the inability to distinguish between helping and harming. Sometimes, when he wasn't streaming, he'd open the video feed just to watch the red recording light glow. It comforted him, the illusion that someone, somewhere, might still be watching. That the doctor still had an audience. That the sickness still had a witness. He started hearing his former patients' voices in his sleep, reciting his old phrases back at him. "You're almost there. Stay with me. You're doing great work. Trust the process." He'd wake up drenched, whispering, "I'm a total fraud." The final stream began like all the others, calm, methodical, professional. Dr. C introduced himself as usual. "Good evening, everyone. This is Dr. C. Tonight, we'll talk about accountability." But as he spoke, he didn't pause for questions. He didn't open the chat. He didn't blink. For nearly an hour, he delivered a monologue, a seamless blend of therapy session, confession, and autopsy. "I used to think I was diagnosing others," he said, voice trembling, "but really, I was performing surgery on my own conscience, cutting it open bit by bit until there was nothing left to remove." He laughed softly, then continued, "You can't fix people by breaking them. You can only join them in the fracture. And eventually, you forget which side of the scalpel you're on." At the end, he'd lean close to the camera. His pupils were blown wide, reflecting the ring light like two empty moons. "I think I finally understand what they were trying to tell me," he whispered. Then he smiled, a calm, clinical smile, and disconnected. No one knows what happened to Dr. C after that last stream. Some say he vanished. Others claim he still uploads under new names, mentoring patients in smaller corners of the web. A few of his former followers believe the stream never actually ended, that it looped somewhere, eternally live, an experiment without a conclusion. If you ever stumble upon it, you'll see a man framed perfectly by display screens and control knobs of an alien spacecraft. His expression placid, professional, and familiar. He'll look right at you and ask, "Do you trust me?" And if you answer, even silently, you become part of the experiment too. Caine, what the F are you reading? That was just a little short story I wrote about how I see Dr. C. Curing the internet, one psycho troll at a time. That's it. I pity the fool. I pity the fool. Well, I don't know about all that. Just a little short story. Damn, bro, that was really good. I'm impressed. I respect you. What's up? What's up? Well, we ain't even got to the actual psychological breakdown. Much appreciated, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Man, I wish I could find like my old notebooks from high school, man. I used to write so much. That's all I did. Well, obviously it's not all I did, but let me drop this link. Paging Dr. C